Welcome to day 3 of Chapter Leader Training. We're going to get started. We have all our parts and pieces, we hope. Wanted to let you know that we have started to post some of the slides from the first 2 days onto Chapter Leader Resources. You'll go to the Resources tab and the Chapter Leader Training sub-tab from there. Becky Stein and the entire education and credentialing team have been absolutely amazing through our pandemic / work from home period, not only keeping up with the things they do every day and every year, but also delivering great new content and great new mechanisms. So I'm excited to turn it over to her with great appreciation, Becky and company.
Great. Thank you so much, Tammy. So again, I'm Becky Stein. I'm the Director of Education and Credentialing, and glad to see all of you here today. We have a lot of information we want to share with you. So all the great resources that we have from our education and credentialing team that you could use back at your chapter. So the best way to get the most out of today is I would encourage everybody to use the chat. Chat in there if you have a question. Also want you to share, as we talk about different education and credentialing resources, share some of the items maybe you've used at your chapter or even new ideas that you've had from an education and credentialing standpoint at your chapter. I think that's the best benefit about today is to hear from others, some of their best practices or even challenges you have. So please use that chat. We want to hear from you, and we will have time throughout the program today to answer questions or share some of that information. And with that, I am going to turn it over. We're going to start out with our education team today, and I'm going to turn it over to Deanne Cross, who is our Associate Director of Education. Deanne.
Thanks, Becky. As Becky said, I am Deanne Cross, and I'm the Associate Director of Education for APWA. I get the privilege of overseeing all of our education programs and priorities, and I also have the privilege of supporting a great team of other professionals and other staff that work with education. So, Catherine, would you like to start off with introductions?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm one of the e-learning specialists, and I support the Click, Listen, and Learn programs. I work with all the registrations that we put up and also work on e-courses. Thank you. I think Lucretia might have been having a little trouble getting in, who is our e-learning specialist.
Yes, so Lucretia is our other e-learning specialist. Hopefully she'll be able to join us. She focuses on our e-courses, supporting our e-learning platform and troubleshooting questions with that, as well as many of our live online workshops and certificate programs. So she's an essential part of our team.
Hi everyone, I'm Basil Johnson. I'm our education associate. I'm kind of the main point of contact for chapters regarding education and CEU credits. I process the applications there. I work with Deanne on a number of our certificate programs like ELA, the Public Works Institutes. I also help with group registrations for our online certificate programs that we've been hosting, as well as deal with speaker and volunteer coordination for our conferences.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Scheibler. As you can see there, I'm the Conference Education Manager and oversee the management of Snow Conference and PWX education programs. In addition to that, or the tasks involved with that, the primary tasks are working with the review committees on session selection for those 2 events, working with the staff on selection of and contracting with our keynote speakers for the conferences, creating the schedule for the education program for both conferences, and researching the latest trends and innovations in education so we can ensure that what we're providing to our members and our attendees is top of the line and at the forefront of what is going on in public works. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Taylor Abadi. I'm a meeting planner. I've been supporting the education department since COVID has impacted everyone. I work on the Stormwater Summit. I am the lead for that project. And I work on the live and pre-recorded webinar productions, such as the Principles of Public Works Operations series and some of the Spotlight on Live programs.
Great. So as you can see, we have a great team that supports education within our department. I'd like to hear from you as to what you're most interested in hearing about from an educational perspective today. We're going to cover a lot of different things, but I'd love to hear what you would like to hear about.
So
Deanne,
Tammy, would
It
you
is.
launch?
It has
Oh, okay.
paused on me for a second. here.
Gotcha.
Can you try to? Can you see if you can do the poll?
Sure. Let's see if I can launch that. There we go. Gotcha. All right, so share some feedback. This is some of the things that we're going to talk about today, but I'd love to hear what you're most interested in hearing about so that I can kind of tailor some of my information for you. Give it just a couple more seconds here. Get your votes in. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. It looks like everybody is interested in our certificate programs, which is a popular request, and our CU. So we will definitely make sure that we concentrate on that information as we move forward.
Deanne, we're getting some responses in the chat too.
Excellent. All right. Tammy, can you advance the slide for me? All right, so as I indicated through the poll, we're going to be covering a lot of different topics. These topics were chosen really to as items that we think will most benefit your chapter education, and that you, if implemented or if used, might be beneficial as you think about your educational programming over the course of the next year. So let's go ahead and get started. We're first going to start off with talking about proficiency levels. Tammy, if you can advance. We're going to start talking about proficiency levels. You may have noticed through some of our Spotlight On programming, as well as our Click, Listen, Learns over the last 6 months, that we have implemented a proficiency level. We've assigned a proficiency level to each of those programs or sessions as either introductory, applied, or advanced. And this grid will kind of tells you what that looks like or what that means. But we really believe that by providing a proficiency level to our attendees, as well as speakers identifying a proficiency level for their program, that it makes sure that what the speaker is going to discuss and what the attendee is expecting matches up for that program. Additionally, it helps our speakers to ensure that if they're doing an advanced program, they're not spending 20 minutes of their hour session providing background information or basics. So it really helps them target their information to the level of proficiency that they've identified. We really hope that this is going to be helpful to attendees as well as speakers moving forward. This will also be seen in all of our conference education programming moving forward as well, and other programs that we provide from an education perspective. And this is definitely something that would be beneficial as you think about your conference, your chapter conferences, and education, ensuring that there's that match between what attendees expect and what the speakers are providing. And we're going to go ahead and move forward. So with that, we provided some speaker resources, and we will provide the link to this, but Tammy, can you click on that speaker resource?
Hey, Deanne, this is Becky. I'm moving
Yep.
them. It's
okay, sorry.
There's just a slight delay.
A little bit of delay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've developed 5 different speaker resources that we think will be helpful both on a national level, but also you are free to use these for your speakers on a local level as well. The first one kind of indicates who they're speaking to, who's their audience. If you have somebody from outside of Public Works or outside of APWA who's providing an educational program, there's a needs analysis, kind of walking through how do you identify that there is in fact a need for this program, how to develop learning objectives, which is crucial if you're going to be applying for CEUs for that program. The knowledge and skill levels. So this goes back to our proficiency levels. This is kind of an education piece on how to utilize those, what the benefits are, and how to assign those. And we really encourage speakers to look at their learning objectives that they've developed and assign their proficiency levels based off of those learning objectives. And then we've also developed kind of what our expectations are for PowerPoint use within our programs. So it looks like we've got a delay in actually accessing those resources, but we'll provide that link to Tammy and her staff so that you guys can access those. Feel free to utilize them and provide them to your speakers, the link to your speakers as resources as they develop programs or submit proposals to your conference. And finally, our certificate programs. These have been very popular throughout PWX at Home this year. We started off with our Winter Maintenance Supervisor Certificate about 10 years ago, and that has remained a popular program. And last July, we launched our Winter Maintenance Operator Certificate. It's a 4-hour program and really focused on what those individuals behind the wheel of the truck need to know from a winter maintenance perspective. And it has definitely grown in popularity. During our November session, we had over 750 people registered for that program. So it is definitely a popular program. In September, we launched our Public Fleet Management Certificate program, and this focuses on what those who are in the fleet management profession or those who aspire to be fleet managers might need to know in order to be successful. And then in April, we're excited to launch, after much ado, this launch has been delayed a couple of times due to pandemic and other things, the Facilities and Grounds Manager Certificate program. And I know that committee is really excited to launch that program, and we will be debuting that in April. All of these programs are available for chapters to host. We are able to assist you in hosting those virtually if that assistance is needed. And we are tentatively looking at in-person dates for the fall. We'll reassess our ability to provide those in person as our travel policies evolve over the next few months. But they are available. You can contact myself or Basil if your chapter is interested in hosting these. These have been really high demand, as I said, throughout PWX at Home. And I expect will continue to be popular. People like having a certificate. They like having something to show that they've earned something through an education program. And the benefit to chapters is that it's ready-made curriculum for you. So definitely, if you are struggling or with developing programs from a virtual standpoint or just providing value to your members, these are ready-made programs that have proven themselves over time to be really sought after by our members. So great options for you guys as well. All right. Another option as far as a ready-made program or curriculum are our DIY public workshop kits. These are available in the APWA store. We have 3 different programs that we have in this format, and the kit provides everything that you need in order to present that program minus the facilitator. So you identify the facilitator, we provide the facilitation guide, a list of materials you might need, the participant guide, CEU forms. You don't have to apply for CEUs for these programs, that they're already pre-approved. A PowerPoint presentation that you can also customize or edit to meet your needs. So it's everything that you need and to present these programs. The great benefit is that you purchase the content once and you can use it as many times as you want. So great for conferences or standalone workshops that you might want to provide. All right, and next, many of you may have used the members library, and we are very excited in the fall or in the spring to launch a new resource center, which will be kind of our one-stop shop for all APWA educational resources, recorded content, past conference programs, past CLLs, pre-recorded sessions, as well as our committee toolboxes on different topics, PDF or other small free publications from our partners, and some great functionality in this new resource center, complete filter and search functionality. It really has a clean, user-friendly platform. But a couple of really great aspects of it is that it will be searchable via Google. So if you're doing some research on Google and wanting to find some information, our resources will pop up on that search now, which doesn't currently happen. And then the second thing is that right now, non-members cannot see the members library and they can't see what great resources they're missing out on. And with this new resource center, they'll be able to see our resources, the content title and description, but they're not going to be able to actually access the material. They'll get a message when they click on it to play it that, sorry, this is members only content, and here's how you can become a member if you'd like. So really showing them what they're missing out on by not being an APWA member. So we're really excited about that functionality. And again, we hope to launch that in spring here in the next 4 to 6 weeks is our timetable. And just to show, this is kind of a snippet. It's a preview of what that members library is going to look like. So this is when you get into a program, you're going to get their description and the learning objectives, the speakers, but then right down here at the bottom, chapters might be interested in this. So it's going to tell you that this is eligible for CEUs. It's going to tell you what the topics are that's covered, but it also has this runtime right over here. So if you're looking for a program that's that you want eligible for CEUs, that you want to play during a lunch and learn, and you need something that's going to fit that hour and a half time frame, you're going to be able to see exactly how long that program is and identify that. So that's a great feature that will be in the new resource center. All right. Another popular topic is our CEUs, our continuing education units. We are providing CEUs and accepting CEU applications for virtual programs. There's some things that we need to work through as we consider those applications, and one of those is how are you going to verify attendance? There's a lot of different ways for us to do that, but that's definitely a conversation as we accept virtual program applications for CEUs that we want to be noted, or we want to have a conversation with you about, and we can help provide ideas as to how you can do that based off of your platform capabilities, as well as how large of an attendance you're expecting. We get a lot of questions regarding CEUs as to does my chapter need to go through this process? Do we need to offer CEUs to our members? And really that is dependent upon your state licensing requirements. Some licensing boards require verification of your continuing education. Others allow you to self-report it. So if it allows you to self-report, you don't necessarily need to go through our process. But if there's a a requirement of your state licensing board that it be verified or that it meet a certain educational standard, then that's why you might want to apply for CEUs from us. We will be launching a new chapter CEU process in the fall. We hope to pilot that this spring with a couple of chapters, and then launch that, provide training and launch it in the fall. And we think that this will be really helpful as we try to process individual applications or requests in a timely manner. Yes, all members will have access to our members library, or our new resource center. All right, so I know that we've heard a lot about PWX at Home. Everybody gets those multiple emails each month about what's coming up with PWX at Home, what you don't want to miss out on. But for you guys, I think it's really important that you understand what we've learned on a national level about our education, and what you might be able to glean and take away for your own programming. On a national level, our big successes have definitely been our SCRC Perspective On series. This series gathers small city and rural community professionals, those who serve a population of 50,000 or below, and discusses that technical area, challenges, new things they're implementing from that perspective. It's been a really hot series. And I think it goes to show that when you gather people with like experiences and like challenges, that they can definitely learn from one another, as well as building that network of professionals. So that's definitely something that you could carry on into your own program. And as I said before, our live online workshops and certificate programs have been hot tickets over the last 6 months. What we also know is that marketing works. So whenever we send out a targeted marketing piece, or we send out a marketing piece on any of our programs, it has a trickle effect. And so what we know is that marketing works. Getting in front of our members and getting in front of people with what we're doing is definitely having an impact. We have certainly played around with our pricing, and we have mixed having free programs with low-cost programs, with things that are free for members and cost for non-members, trying to build that member value with our programming. So we've kind of, I think, found something that is a happy medium and works for us. I really encourage you guys, as you do virtual programming and as you enter this post-pandemic era, hopefully we're post-pandemic soon, that you guys play around with that pricing model and see what really resonates with your local professionals and what works for you. And then finally, don't forget that every month on the PWX at Home website, there is a chapter leaders resource page that provides some ideas on how you might implement some of what we're doing on a national level on a local level. And our final lesson from PWX at Home is that our members really like that we're focusing on a technical aspect each month, that we have a focus each month. And we've chosen that focus based off of the reporter articles, or the issue of the reporter each month. Definitely something that we will be continuing as we move into next year's planning, and definitely something that could be beneficial on a local level, I believe, as well. Okay, and my final plug is for our conferences. We have great educational conferences with PWX and SNOW, but we also need your help to ensure that we continue to have quite high quality education at those programs. And a couple of ways that you can help us out is to, one, know about our call for presentations process. We'll launch that by August 1st, and that will end by October 1st for this year for the 2022 conferences. So know about what the process is, and also seek out chapter members who you know have had great successes, that have lessons learned, are doing innovative things, and encourage them to submit a call submit a proposal. The other thing is that if there are sessions on a local level that have been really well received, great speaker, great content, encourage those presenters to also submit for the call for presentations. We need your help identifying these speakers and identifying good programs. And a lot of times people don't realize that what they're doing is innovative or something that should be shared. And so they just need a little encouragement from peers to say, hey, other people want to hear about that. You should submit that for consideration. So based off of that, one last poll as we look at questions for the next couple of minutes. But what out of everything that I covered, and I know I just hit high points, I could have talked about this for another hour, but based off of this, what do you think let me get to these polls. What are you most likely to implement in your own chapter from what we've discussed today? And I am glad to start taking questions. I'm not sure, Becky, if there are already questions in the chat pod that maybe I need to start answering. Or if somebody wants to jump off mute and go ahead and ask a question.
So Deanne, a couple of things that were in the chat. I know they brought up ethics training being required in some states. So do you want to talk a little bit about what we have available from an ethics standpoint that might be easy for a chapter to implement?
Absolutely. So our DIY public workshop kits for ethics, that's exactly why they were developed, is that we know that ethics is required for all of our PEs. And so that's a great program that's already ready-made that you can tailor with very little effort to your particular population and membership, and it has everything that you need. So that's a great option. We do have e-courses on ethics that people can purchase on an individual level, but from a chapter perspective, if you're wanting to offer ethics programming, our DIY kits is definitely something to look into.
And it looks like, Dan, they might want to know a little bit more information on what exactly does that DIY kit look like? Like, could you walk through maybe how you would use that kit at the chapter level?
Yes, so that kit comes with a facilitation guide that outlines what is your job as a facilitator. Here are some techniques you're going to want to use and think about, down to walking you through presenting that information step by step. Say this, have them get into groups and discuss these 3 questions. Here are main points out of that discussion that you're going to want to make sure are hit on. So it gives you really a step by step of how a facilitator would facilitate that program, as well as options for customization within that. So if you're presenting this information to supervisors, and they're all supervisors, this is what you're going to want. This is some customization that you can make. If you have people who are from all different agencies, this is how you're going to want to approach this portion of the program, versus if you're presenting this information to everybody from the same agency. So it walks you through some of those contingencies as well. It provides a participant guide as well, PowerPoints that can be kind of customized based off of the level of comfort of that facilitator, and also CEU forms that can be provided to participants to submit. So it's really everything that you need in order to present that information. Does that help?
Yeah, and another question, Deanne, that we have is related to the Public Works Institute. So we had a question with obviously the pandemic. Some of those classes were not held either last spring or this fall. And there's individuals who are wanting to graduate from the Institute, some of those wanting to get that credit so they could apply for one of the Public Works, Certified Public Works Professional programs. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you're working with the Institute reps, and you'll be meeting with them next month to talk about the potential of what they could do virtually. And then also we have that one online institute. So if somebody really wanted to try to get some credits and graduate, there are some virtual options out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So understandably so, our institute representatives have been a little hesitant to move their program online or virtual. They really feel that one of the strengths of our Public Works Institutes is the networking and the relationship building with other professionals in their area that happens as a result of that institute experience. And replicating that networking and relationship building online, it's difficult. But a year in, and many of those institutes being halted for a year, I think we're really warming up to the idea of maybe we need to be providing something from an institute standpoint online and virtual. So we provided some tips and some things for them to think about in what translating that experience online might look like. And then we'll be meeting next month to kind of idea share. There are some groups who have moved on to virtual programming, and they'll provide some lessons learned and some things for others to think about. And I'm really hopeful that some groups will choose to create a virtual Public Works Institute online, not just to help those who are kind of in the process and would like to finish up that experience, but also because I really firmly believe that virtual learning is here to stay in some way, shape, or form, and that there's going to be, moving forward, a desire for both a virtual experience as well as face-to-face experiences. So I think we need to be thinking outside of the box with that. But as Becky said, there are online, fully online programs. There's one in Iowa. That's the one that comes to mind. That is fully online right now. I know that some of the groups, Minnesota, Wisconsin, who are affiliated with an institution, an academic institution, that academic institution is also offering those programs online now, or some of their programs online. And so those might be options as well. But you can certainly find some of that information on our website.
And this is
Yes.
Candace from Southern California. That was my question.
Mm-hmm.
And specific to that, like just diving in a little bit deeper, I mean, we've got 6 or 7 staff that were supposed to graduate in May from the Southern California chapter PWI. Can they go to that one in the Midwest to finish?
Yeah, they'll need to figure out what aspects of the curriculum they're missing. And so they'll need to work with the Vincent, I believe, is in Southern California.
Yes.
So they'll need to work with Vincent or Nicole to identify what are the pieces that they're missing. And then the contact at another institution can help with, okay, what does that translate to with regards to our curriculum? But absolutely, they can.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
And we also have Minnesota, is also another option that just wrote in on the chat as well. And we're going to tie this up and we're going to move on to our next session, but we'll have more questions, time for questions at the end. Just 2 more points. We didn't get too much into the Public Works Institutes, but for those chapters that don't currently have a Public Works Institute, great, very successful program for the chapters for supervision and management training. Definitely something that if you're interested in, reach out to us and we'll be able to give you more information on how you can set that up. We have the template for you, completely up to the chapter, very flexible to how you want to run that program. So we could provide more information there. And then one other question I did see in the chat was related to pricing on our virtual certificate workshop programs. whether or not like an agency, whoever was registering them, if they were a member, how that pricing works. That's been one of the great things about what we've offered online as far as our certificate programs is we do have group registrations. So you could have the individual who creates the registration, if they're a member, you could get that member rate for your entire group. So whether it's 2 people or we've had up to what, Deanne, 60, I think 60
50,
people
50, 60.
Register as a group through one of our LTAP T2 centers. So that's a great option as well on that pricing that you could get that we've set up. So Deanne, I don't know if you want to make some final comments on that polling question, and then we'll move on. And again, we'll have plenty more time for questions at the end as well.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of you were excited to take some of what we had discussed back. I would just reiterate that if you have questions about anything that was discussed during the education portion, please feel free to reach out to us. We are a resource all year long and are excited and more than willing to assist you in either identifying resources or assisting you in thinking through how you might provide something on the local level. So feel free to contact us.
And with that, we are going to turn it over to our education managers who work with each of our technical committees. So Matt and Rita, do you want to take it away?
Sure. I'm Rita Cassida, and as Becky said, I'm an education manager at APWA. And Matt and I work with our technical committees. So we're going to talk to you this afternoon about how the committees and the chapters can be connected. The first program we wanted to talk to you about is our Trending Technologies in Public Works. We started this in 2018, so we've had it for several years, so that's awesome. And it is actually our Engineering and Technology Committee oversees that program, but there's a Trending Technologies subcommittee, and that is made up from the Council of Chapters have a representative, as well as standing and technical committees on that. So they are all working together to provide education on our trending technologies. And we just announced in January the trending technologies for 2021. So we are forming work groups to provide education on these technologies. Just a plug, if anybody would want to join any of the work groups on these technologies, there's still room and you can contact me, but we'll be having some great education on these technologies in 2021. A couple of them have been on the list before, technology for field crews and the GIS and asset management technologies have always been top technologies, but we've got some new ones this year, and I really like the small cell 5G is very timely, and then the virtual public engagement with COVID, I think that one kind of moved that one as a higher priority on the technology list. So that is a great program, and chapters can participate in that top trending technology program. For your chapter meetings and conferences, you can use the top tech branding for any education sessions that you might have, or if you're having vendors at an expo type event, they can also use that top tech branding. There's information in the chapter leaders resources about that. So I don't know if anybody's done that. You might put it in the chat if you've done that and what you've done. That would be helpful to know how people have used that information for the chapter events. Next, Matt is going to talk about the Roving Reporter program.
Thanks, Rita. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone can see the newest addition to the APWA store, the sweater vest here. Hopefully you all can see that there. I want to talk to you all about the Roving Reporter. As Rita stated, the Top Tech is a way to showcase technologies impacting public works. Roving Reporter initially started out as a way to point out those technologies and how they were having a positive impact, but that grew into a platform to showcase chapters, agencies, people, programs that were having a positive impact, not just those technologies. So these videos are out there to help educate members, and everyone knows how important the network is in public works. It was stated before, the members really use the networks to educate and use best practices. So I want to move on to the Roving Reporter videos. How can you use them? That they can be used, watched together and discussed at chapter meetings, or in this setting here virtually. Send out the link to the newest video. Send one out that you think is important right now, and let your members, your network discuss those new technologies and positive impacts. They can be included in newsletters as well. Move on to the chapter Roving Reporter. So National started the Roving Reporter, like I said, to showcase the positive impacts. And now we want to offer the platform out to the chapters. They can be 3 to 5 minute videos that are shot on your phone. We no need for a special technology there to shoot those videos. Your chapter can use the video to share on social media, for training, for community engagement, to get your message out there, tell your story. We all know now today how much more impactful videos are than a newsletter or an article. So those videos can be used to network, again, to tell your story. It's a tool to help your chapter tell your story. It's a tool, your chapter, to take pride in their work. If there are individuals out there that are going above and beyond to make that impact even more important in the community. You can use your chapter videos to educate. Like I said, the network out there right now for you all to use is the most important tool that you have. And these videos can be used in that network. Like on the next slide, we have a video that has come in from Anchorage, Alaska. It is a short video that they submitted to show everyone how they are electrifying their fleet. There's so much information. You can get on this call here and see how much information is going on back and forth, and this can be used in the same way. You know, if your chapter is wanting to have that conversation, but you don't know how to get started, these videos are a great resource for chapters to say, hey, here's how Anchorage, Alaska did it. Here's how Lincoln, Nebraska got started with an autonomous shuttle, things like that. So it's not just something that you can use to say, here's what we're doing and here's how cool it is. You can use it to educate others and educate other people within your chapter. And with that, I will turn it over back to Rita to let her explain technical committees.
Sure. We have 10 great technical committees. And Matt and I work with those volunteers, and there's 6 presidentially appointed volunteers on each of those committees. And they do our great education, such as Click, Listen, Learns and reporter articles. I know a lot of the chapters have committees. They may or may not match the same structure as the national committees, but we are always willing to connect chapters with the national committees. We've got a couple of our committees that routinely communicate with the chapters. Transportation, a lot of people are interested in transportation, as well as utilities and public rights of way. They'll send out every other month or quarterly information to chapter contacts that we've identified. But if we're not communicating with your chapter from the technical committees, just let Matt or myself know, and we will happy to connect you. They are great experts on our technical topics. And just to plug, nominations are open until March 22nd if anybody wants to join a technical committee. But there are subcommittees and knowledge teams that assist the committees with their work. So you're welcome to join them at any time. Or if you just want to write an article for the reporter, I am sure we can figure out an issue to put that in with our technical committees. On chapter conferences, even before COVID, our committee members presented at some in-person events. Our emergency management member, Lonnie Yazell, went to Northern California for a emergency management conference. So that was kind of a partnership between APWA National and the chapter on those expenses, and that worked out really well. Now with virtual events, it's even easier for participation from committee members. I know the Ontario chapter had a right-of-way conference, and they had some members participate from our UPRO committee. So I think anytime you're thinking of a conference, definitely look at our technical committees and their experts, and they are surely happy to help you with your chapter conferences. I don't know if anybody's done that, but if you've had an experience using our technical committees, feel free to put that in the chat so we'll know what you guys have been using in the past. So. And with that, and I have time for questions. Look like most things that we're coming across had been answered, but does anybody have any questions about our APWA committees that we can answer?
I don't think I see any in the chat, but I do want to point out to you what Matt was talking about before with the roving chapter, the chapter Roving Reporter. This is also a great way if you're struggling to figure out, what type of education to give virtually to your members. This is a great way to take maybe those technical tours that perhaps you offered pre-COVID and, do a walkthrough or a field trip or some type of tour, videotape it, and then share it out with your membership. So I think there's just endless possibilities from a virtual standpoint on how you could do that. And also just stressing what Rita was saying, also with the virtual conferences and education now, just think of all those subject matter experts you now have available to you that perhaps it was too expensive to have them travel into your conference for an hour presentation. It's so much easier now with the virtual events. So 10 different technical committees. We have 6 members on every committee. Plus we have knowledge teams with most of our committees. Some of them, like asset management, has over 40 experts on their knowledge team. So hundreds of subject matter experts available to you as speakers. So if that's what you're struggling with, please reach out to Matt and Rita, and they're happy to help you with that. Some of the committees already have kind of standard presentations that they're willing to give. So if you're even struggling with the topic of what you want to present at your conference, I think this is a great service that's available to the chapters, especially given the virtual nature of how we're doing our meetings right now. So with that, Matt and Rita, any final words or anything you want to do before we move on?
Nothing from me.
Now, just reach out if you ever have any questions or need a subject matter expert. We're happy to find somebody for you.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Thanks so much. And then if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. We'll have another question period at the very end for any of our team members today. And we're now going to move on over to our credentialing team. So I believe April or Stephen, do you want to get us started?
Yes, hi, good morning. I'm Stephen Miller, and I'm one of the accreditation managers here at APWA. We're happy to be here with you today.
Hello, and my name's April Wardlow. I am the credentialing coordinator for APWA. Thank you all for attending today.
And my name is Tracy Quintana. I am the second accreditation manager, working with Stephen as we are supporting agencies going through the self-assessment process and providing ideas and direction as for agencies and chapters alike.
All right, and we're going to kick things off with some polling questions here right up front, asking you to participate in 2 really quick questions. Take 10 or 15 seconds to do these. I know we're going to get some good answers because I recognize a lot of the people that are here today that have been involved with accreditation. So we're going to get some good answers there. As we move forward, we're going to talk a little bit about what credentialing is about and how credentialing can help you as chapter leaders. So we have a little, oh, there's our results, and they're gone. So I'm not going to talk about the results exactly, but it looked like we had a lot of people that were familiar with at least some aspects of accreditation and credentialing. Oh, there we go again. And so, but there's a lot of you that are going to be learning something new today, and we're glad you're here, and we hope to provide you the information that you need. So moving on, we've got a nice slide here that breaks out our number of accredited agencies and individual certifications by region. And there's a reason we're showing you this, and it's not just to spur on competition among many of you who are neck and neck for the lead, but we'll show you how this information can help you. And if you do the math on these, you'll see that there are currently 163 accredited agencies and well over 600 certified individuals, 660 to be exact, and growing. And in a later slide, we'll talk about how you can take advantage of this information. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to April.
Hello, my name's April. I'm the credentialing coordinator for APWA, and I'm here to talk to you about our certification programs and how they can benefit your chapter. APWA has 5 professional certifications. The CPII is for your seasoned inspectors. The CPWPS is for public works supervisors. The CPFP is for your fleet managers. The CSM is for your stormwater managers, and the CPWPM is for all of you as public works managers. All of our certifications have eligibility requirements to prove that you have the knowledge and experience to pass the exam. Once your eligibility application has been approved, you are given 2 years to sit for the exam, and this is an excellent opportunity for chapters to host study groups and workshops to prepare these individuals to take the exam. Once these individuals are prepared to take the exam, then they register for a computer-based test. Upon passing that test, they become certified for a period of 5 years and receive their credential. Each one of these certifications does require professional development to maintain the certification. These individuals who have become certified are a great resource for speakers at your chapter conferences or hosting workshops and things of that nature. And now that I've spoken to you a little bit about certification, I'm going to turn it over to Tracy, who's going to speak to you about agency accreditation.
Thanks, April. It's great to see that so many of you are familiar with credentialing and the accreditation and certification programs. As you heard from April about certification opportunities that are available to individuals, the accreditation program focuses on the public works agencies in their entirety and on how they can improve their overall operations. Achieving the accreditation designation is a reflection that your agency is meeting industry standards, that they have developed SOPs, succession planning is in place, and that improved processes which result in increased operational activities. It's a win-win for everybody. Using the Public Works Management Practices Manual, agencies and employees develop better communication skills as they collaborate as a team, much like your chapter working to grow and maintain continuous improvement. We are happy to release the new Accreditation Roadmap, which provides guidance throughout the 5 self-assessment phases. It's available as a resource to agencies and chapters alike, and it can help with maintaining the momentum and engagement for everybody. The roadmap also provides opportunities to chapters as it's supporting and promoting an agency's efforts and their accomplishments. Each phase of that self-assessment process is an outreach opportunity for your chapter by sharing experiences and that institutional knowledge. Engaging representatives from accredited agencies to speak on their experiences in the accreditation program and the institutional knowledge is one way to build on your chapter resources. This type of support is bound to encourage other agencies to interact with your chapter and its activities. Recognize and celebrate the agency for achieving the accredited agency designation. Share in the sense of accomplishment, knowing that one of your peers has worked hard and has been successful in achieving their goal. Now Stephen's going to provide you with more specifics as to the benefits available to your chapters. Thank you.
All right, thanks Tracy and April. And so let's talk about why you're really here today. You want to know how credentialing can benefit your chapter. Well, what do your members want? We've listed a number of items on this slide that you may already be doing or maybe could consider, but in a nutshell, they want to advance their careers, develop relationships with their peers, and help others, because that's what Public Works is about. And the good news is credentialed persons and agencies are already engaged, and as a chapter, you should be taking advantage of that. You essentially have a built-in membership boost as well, because every accredited agency has members, and many of our credentialed individuals are either already members or just waiting to be asked to be more involved. And best of all, these people and agencies are subject matter experts and leaders in their field. If you look down the list of attendees today, you're going to see a who's who all the way from our national president, Mary Jo Sivers, to a whole bunch of public works directors and other people that have tremendous knowledge and experience in the field. They're great people that you want to have involved. And I know someday soon you're going to need a distinguished speaker or a panelist for a luncheon or award ceremony. If you've ever been involved with the Public Works Institutes, we've already had questions about that today. You know it takes a lot of people to make those go. So you're sitting on a gold mine with credentialing from both an audience and a production perspective. Because these are folks that are going to want continuing education, are going to be able to educate others, and just simply want to be involved. So this helps how? Well, it helps you attract new members, it helps you retain and engage the existing ones. So we really hope that you'll look to credentialing to be part of what you do as a chapter. And you can see on the slide here, we've listed quite a few things. I'm not going to go over all of them, but some of the things that we've listed here that you may not be aware of, hosting workshops. Accreditation puts on anywhere from a 2.5 to a 5-hour workshop that many of our agencies are interested in, and if we can bring in groups of people in at one time, it's good for networking. It's good for idea sharing. We'd love to help see you support your public works institutes. If you could develop a chapter library, not everybody has the resources to find the publications that they need. And if you can make those available to them, that's a great thing. Again, providing experts to speak at conferences and so on, obtaining articles for your chapter newsletters, all things that you can do. Oh, and I did want to mention one thing about the Public Works Institutes. We're excited to announce that we are going to have an upcoming launch of on-site proctoring. So this will allow the institutes to proctor certification exams in a group setting. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to contact us after the presentation today. So, and if you have a second, let us know. We'd like to know, do you recognize any certificates or accreditations through your chapter? If you would, feel free to type that into chat and let us know that. We'd like to know that. So All right. Well, I don't know if anybody's been monitoring the chat, if there's any questions we need to address, but otherwise, we thank you for being here today. We appreciate you being part of APWA and being leaders in your region. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Stephen. So there was a lot of excitement in the chat about the roadmap. So I'm not sure if Tracy mentioned it, but a little secret is that not only can you get the PDF off of our website, but we're in the works to create it as a poster. So your agency, if you're going through accreditation or the reaccreditation process here, hopefully by this summer, if not sooner, we'll have a poster that you could actually order and hang and be able to track the progress within your agency. Let me just double check here. And Tracy or Stephen or April, if you see a question, I'm having problems with my chat popping up, but if you see any questions in there that you want to answer, you can jump in.
So there's a question on how can a chapter get a list of certification holders that are in their chapter? April, do you want to respond to that?
You can contact us at certification@apwa.net. Just send an email and request it, and I'll be happy to pull that information together for you.
And just to add to that also, if you're interested in knowing what agencies in your chapter are accredited, that information is available also on the APWA accreditation webpage. You can see not only those that are accredited, but those that are formally under contract to become accredited.
Great, thank you very much. All right, well, with that, I think we will move on to our final section today. And if you think of more questions, again, go ahead and put those in the chat. We're going to have time at the end for just general questions, or if you want to share, again, like Stephen said, we'd love to hear your ideas. It's really important to recognize those individuals in your chapter that reach accreditation or they become certified. So we'd love to hear from you. If you're recognizing them, how do you do that? Do you put it in your newsletter? Do you personally go up to them at a meeting and congratulate them? Do you have them as part of your recognition award ceremony? Would love to hear from you in the chat if you're doing anything to recognize those individuals. I'm going to kick off our last section here. I'm really going to jump into two areas of our strategic plan under both value and education and credentialing. Under value, we're going to talk a little bit about workforce development. You know, how are we getting people into public works? I think that is probably one of the biggest challenges we hear is getting everybody to understand that public works is a career option and how to get them into public works. And then once they're into public works, how do we get them to go through the training, certification, to understand that there is a career. It's not just a job, it's a career. And what are those career options and how do we get them ready? I'm not sure if you're familiar with this or not, but if not, I would encourage you to reach out to Ashley to get a list of the different council chapters, task forces, and work groups. And there was a workforce development task force that met. Phyllis Muter is actually the one that heads up this area. And she's worked with this task force for probably the last 1.5 or 2 years as part of the council of chapters. And some of the items that we're going to talk about today came out of that task force. You're going to see, I'm going to dive into some of these a little bit more, but we have a new community that we started, some day in the life videos that we've had a contest, updating the Shaping the World Public Works, and I'll dive into those here in a minute. But the bigger one is chapter initiatives. This is really, again, an area where I think you all sharing with each other what you're doing, some of your best practices, is the best way to learn how to promote workforce development and career development. We did a session, for those that aren't familiar with Public Works Academies, those are really started to get individuals into public works, get them trained, CDL licenses, whatever certifications they need to really hit the ground running and be able to start a position within public works. We have several chapters who have started those programs, working with like their local community colleges or high schools. So in November, we did have a panel of speakers. That recorded session we can send out and make available to you, where they were really talking about how they created those programs, some of the challenges they've had, some of the benefits. So we've got Public Works Academies. We've already talked about Public Works Institutes. So once you get them into Public Works, and then you want to move them up to become supervisors, managers, this is where Public Works Institutes come in. So those individuals that maybe were working in the field are lacking some of those soft skills that are needed to be a supervisor or manager. Great training, been very successful in our chapters having that training. We have an actual template you could use. Again, we can help you start that. And then of course, partnerships with the LTAPs and T2 centers have been very successful. So those chapter initiatives, we continue to want to find out more information, share that. So keep your eye out for any of our panels or open forum discussions on that. Workforce advocacy. You'll hear from our government affairs team tomorrow. They have been very important on making sure that there's legislation working to advocate on behalf of Public Works to make sure that we have individuals that understand we need workforce development, we need individuals entering our workforce. So they are there advocating on our behalf. So very important components into this as well. And then in November, we started a operations and maintenance task force. So I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail on some of these coming up. So first, let's dive into our workforce development community. So how many of you are on a community, one of the advanced communities? I know we have them in transportation, each of our technical areas. I believe you have a chapter leader community. This is through the same platform. We just created this within the last 6 months. And the goal of this is to really build that library of information. What has been successful for you from either an individual standpoint at your agency or from a chapter standpoint? Sharing those tools, those models with each other of what has been successful. And again, this could be anything from ranging from what your agency has done to what your chapter has done. We recently sent out a chapter education survey, and for those that responded, thank you very much. We had over 100 responses, and although we're still looking at those responses, it was amazing to see how many chapters offer some type of scholarship, whether that be an academic scholarship or a scholarship to one of APWA's professional programs. How many of you offer internships? And again, we've talked about academies. This is all information that would be great to share with each other and post on that community. So again, if you know how to get into advanced communities, same kind of setup. You're free to work within this community like you like, set up your own folders, your own way of documenting information, or just talking with each other. So I really encourage you to join this community, encourage your members of your chapter to join this community and share this information with each other. Day in the life video contest. So again, we talk about, we really want to introduce Public Works as a career. So I have two 15-year-old twins, and probably 2 years ago, they were already being asked to make career decisions, you know, right then to identify what they wanted to be when they got out of school. Public Works is rarely at the top of that list. They just don't know that it's a career option. A lot of the information they get from their counselors or from the school does not list Public Works as a career option. So we really wanted to make that tie-in, especially something that would reach out to younger people to understand this could be fun. And it's not just a job, again, it's a career. So in August, as part of PWX At Home, we launched our Day in the Life video contest. We went out and asked for videos of individuals who are actually working in the field of themselves. What does it look like, a day in the life of what you do? We received over 40 submissions from all different 10 technical areas that we offer. We received over 800 votes from our membership voting on their favorite videos. And then we identified for each technical area kind of the top vote getter for that video contest. So again, the purpose of this was we now have these videos on our APWA YouTube channel. Hopefully you all have been there and visited that. But there's actual playlist for Day in the Life. So you can check that out, see all those videos. But again, the point is to let our younger individuals know what is in front of them, what is possible. You could go out, these are fun jobs. A lot of them have trending technology like Rita and Matt was sharing with you. They get to fly drones. It's like if they like gaming, I think we have a recent reporter article about a gamer who got into Public Works. So great opportunities for our younger individuals. And not only is it a job, but again, building a career. So we've had individuals who started out as snowplow drivers that are now Public Works directors, and letting them know that opportunity exists. So from a chapter level, what can you do? Well, in addition to encouraging people to submit those videos to us, you at a chapter can also hold a video contest. To do that, you just need to establish what are the rules of the contest. Perhaps you just want to focus on one technical area, or you want them in all technical areas. How long will you have that contest open? Determining what those rules and guidelines are. Again, the message focus, maybe you just want to do it in fleet. You want to have a fleet contest and see all the different day in the life fleet videos. Then you want to launch and publicize that contest. And then once you select a winner, of course, then you want to share that information. So just something at the chapter level that would really help increase awareness. Again, I know several of you probably participate in local career fairs, but this is just another way from a virtual standpoint to get that information out. I mentioned earlier, we started our new operations and maintenance task force. Again, the goal here is to really make sure we have qualified individuals entering public works and filling those operations and maintenance positions. The task force is really looking at, we know that operations and maintenance education and training exist out there, and we know a lot of it exists with our chapters. So we really want to find out what currently exists within our chapters, also with the LTAPs and T2 centers that we work with. Then we want to identify what gaps are there in that operations and training, maintenance training. What do we need to produce? And then what is APWA's role in all of that? And what we're starting to find out, and as we plan that career development, career pathways as we move forward, is that APWA, I think, really can benefit from being the one-stop place where public works professionals go to find out resources and information. So what our operations and maintenance task force is talking a lot about is there's all kinds of operations and maintenance training out there, but there's not one place to go to see it all. So again, as we get into more virtual trainings, or even if we want to share ideas from state to state, how do we know that information exists? So some way to share that information. So again, they just started meeting in November, but we'll continue to meet and explore this area. So as a chapter, we might reach out to you and find out what are you actually doing in operations and maintenance? What current needs do you have that maybe another chapter is doing something in and can share information with you? I also talked about, we're updating the Shaping the World of Public Works. I know there was a question earlier in the chat about outreach materials for school-age children. This area is really targeted toward our high school, those individuals like 8th grade and up who are making that decision of what career do they want to be in. So this pamphlet is currently being updated. The last time it was updated is in 2010. If you haven't seen it, here's kind of just a snapshot of what it looks like. But it has over 100 different career options or positions that you can get in public works. And then it shows what type of education, what your starting salary is. And again, it's just letting those high school individuals know what are the opportunities for me out there. So again, we're going to be updating that. We're going to have it in, hopefully in mid-2021, it'll be released in an electronic version and also a printed version. So at your chapter events, or if you do go to career fairs, you'll have this to hand out to individuals. And finally, this all kind of feeds into our career development. So today we've heard from Deanne about introducing proficiency levels from education. We've heard from April about our leadership certifications for supervision and management. We've talked about our operations and maintenance task force, the chapters, what you're doing. We also have a salary survey, a job board. All of this is leading into career paths that we hope to create over the next few years. So again, we want to become that one-stop place where everybody goes to APWA to find out what type of certification, what type of training do they need from entering public works to advancing their career. And all that together, again, education, our advocacy team, and outreach all goes into public works being a career choice. So with that, I am going to open it up to our final questions. I know we've shared a lot with you today. We probably could have talked all day, but wanted to just give you a general overview. So I will open it up to any questions we have from the group, or if any of my other team members have final comments or anything they want to add.
Becky, just a real quick question in the chat. Is the Shaping of Public Works, is that still available in the APWA store, or is that sold out currently?
I believe, I'll have to check. I believe we're out of stock on the printed material, but I can double check on that for sure. But again, we're in the final stages of updating it. So we hope within the next 6 months, the new version would be available. And again, we want to do it electronic plus the printed copy that you could get.
Perfect.
And feel free to unmute if you want to either throw out an ideal or if you have a question. And I'm trying to check the chat here just real quick. Any other, Deanne, or any other team members, anything that you want to throw out there?
I will say that I know that we've done a lot of small virtual events. Some of you may not have ventured into larger virtual events or conferences online. If you're thinking about doing that, feel free to reach out to our staff and we can provide some tips and some things to consider as you think about launching a larger program virtually. There are definitely some best practices and some things that you may not think about or consider upfront that will make life a lot easier and make things smoother if you'll plan for those things. So feel free to reach out to us. And James had a question about platforms. We're also glad to help you think through pros and cons of the needs of your platform versus what it offers, and offer some things for you to consider on that front as well. We don't necessarily recommend any one platform, though we will have some options for you moving forward, but certainly we can help you think through what their capabilities are and what your needs are for any certain program.
Yeah, and one other item I think we forgot to mention earlier, and Deanne, you might want to add on to this. We will also be launching a new series of e-courses, which are called our Public Works Operations series. And this is very beneficial also to those that have institutes if you have to cover those different operational areas. It is based off of our Public Works Administration Operations Blue Book, is what the series is on. It's also kind of a 101. So if you have young professionals entering public works, or if you have somebody who was recently promoted to a supervisor over a technical area, and you want to give them kind of a 101 basic overview of it, these courses will cover that. So there's, how many, Deanne,
There's 12 or 13 different areas in the series, and they can be bought individually. You can buy different technical areas individually, or you can buy them all in a bundle. And the nice thing, we anticipate individual use of these, but really they were created for chapter use. Each session of the series will come with a discussion guide, so you can show the video and then continue the conversation, and the facilitator can utilize the discussion guide to continue the conversation. And debriefing that material would be a great session to get some seasoned professionals and some people who are either new to the profession or new to supervising or managing that area together after the session, and to kind of continue that conversation and continue the sharing and learning. So definitely an option for our institutes, but would be a great series to hold within your chapter, particularly if you're looking to reach out to newer professionals in the area.
Yeah, and Deanne mentioned that there was a discussion guide. Just a reminder as well, with the members library, and as we move into the new APW Resource Center, with any of our Click, Listen, Learns that we've delivered within the last couple of years, we also add a kind of discussion questions for those. So if you did want to use some past recordings, either live, those are still free live, that you can conduct a lunch and learn with your group, or if you want to take those recordings from the APW Resource Center, they do come with discussion questions. So that would help you fulfill that. Like if you had an hour lunch and learn and you wanted to show the program and then have a discussion, those tools are available to you as a chapter. And then Kim Strong, one of our evaluators for the accreditation program, also just put on the chat, the evaluators are always willing to come out and present to your chapters or do a presentation. Those are always very successful as well. So don't forget that you could call upon them and invite them to your chapters. With that, if there's no final questions, or if anybody has anything else from our group, I think, Tammy, we're ready to turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you very much. And thanks for a great presentation. You guys have been working so hard. I just put a question in the chat box about whether this group would be interested in participating in a second chapter leader idea exchange on sharing kind of tips and what worked and what flopped on virtual events now that we've got 9-10 months under our belt. I think we did a session like that in May, but it was very new for all of us, and doing a repeat of that might be super helpful. So if you've got some interest in that, please indicate in the chat and we are happy to get that set up. One of the themes that you've heard throughout the 3 days now that we've had of chapter leader training is that APWA staff is here to help you do the work that you want to do and to support your chapters. So please reach out and connect with us at any time. Thursday is our last session. We have advocacy, what it might look like in your chapter. We have events to include negotiating contracts, and outreach, where we will do a little deeper dive into the new chapter website template. And with that, unless there are conversations and other information, we'll stay on as long as you want, but I think we're done for today.